And we're live once again on the twitch.tv/xisuma working on the ribcage. You're probably getting sick of this project, but I have a good reason to persevere with the creation of the ribcage. Yes, I do. We got Brainboy in chat saying hello, 4Gil, and Vixky B, Hamp219. Some of these peeps are tuning in. They're saying hello. I appreciate it. Lets me know that I'm live. Where are my bones at? Where the bones, where the bones, where the bones at? I may have to go to the Nether to get some more, and... Wait a minute, why would they be anywhere but in me? Oh, okay, here we go. Yeah, I guess this stream later I'll go pick up some more. I'm slightly worried now that I need to AFK to get more. Anyway, let me explain the situation. Lightmatica isn't updating. Lightmatica isn't updating to 1.19 anytime soon, by the sounds of it. And so that means I kind of need to, like, get as much of this done as I can, because I won't be able to work on the ribcage, I think, at all. I will certainly try and investigate the possibility of doing this major base construction stuff with like camera count and stuff, but this is really something that isn't possible without Lightmatica. So yeah, I need to do like as much as I can, and so we're going to try and blitz into this today. In fact, I kind of wanted to remind myself to not focus on the middle area. Oh god, I'm under attack. Oh, it's over. Okay. I need to remind myself not to focus on clearing out stuff from the middle. So, if you're watching and you're like, oh, that X is clearing out stuff from the middle, feel free to tell me, as I need to just focus on getting blocks around the edges. That's the best way for me to move forward with this, I think. May School, the one, the only in chat. How's it going, my dude? Hope you're well. I see Winnie T. Ford there as well, and lots of other regular names. It's an unusual time for us to be streaming. I've also left my monitors on. Let me turn those off. Otherwise you might hear the music a little louder than normal. Actually, I could probably leave those on because the music plays out of them relatively quiet. Anyway, there will be talky conversation topics today once again. I also got some things I want to ask you about my Hermitcraft series. And yeah, I will probably mention what I mentioned a moment ago a couple of times as people tune in. They'll probably want to know what's up, what's happening. So I figured we really just need to like get the edges of this rib stuff in more so than every single block, because I can kind of make up some bits behind the stuff at the front, right? That's how I see it. We got our first noise in the air. It's the Crow's Cathedral. What a crazy name. With the Prime. Thank you for using your Amazon Prime on me. It's appreciated over here. Hope you're enjoying the stream, my dude. Dumplings says, hey, first stream, looking forward to it. Well, welcome, Dumplings. I hope you enjoy your stay. And I feel talky. I feel talky. So, if anyone's got topics, feel free to suggest them. If any of my mods want to pick up some interesting messages, I've got the Discord open. I've been in that kind of mood lately of like just talking about stuff. Sometimes we just play the game and talk about Minecraft, and sometimes we talk about other stuff. You feel talky? It's time for a holiday. Oh, talky. Now I say it. I'm reading that message and I'm like, what? Is Torquay really like a holiday place? I'm going on holiday later in the year, and I've been looking at the place and what there is to do nearby. And, you know, I would like a bit of variety, but it looks like it's going to literally just be like walking trails. If we take the bikes with us, then there's a bit more to do. But I ain't complaining. I would like a little bit more, but it's out in a gorgeous, beautiful part of Wales, so, you know, I'm going to certainly enjoy the time there. But yeah, it's quite a remote little spot, you know, not a lot around it. There's a curry house nearby, you know, I went and checked that out, right? Otherwise, I would have refused to go on holiday. Unfriendly Ghost Cat, thank you for 8 months of support, my dude. Appreciate it. I hope you're enjoying the stream so far. Thoughts on Morden being unbalanced, says Wrigley. Well, that's a loaded question, isn't it? That is a loaded question. Who says it's unbalanced? I think the mistake they made with the Warden was to make it drop anything. I really think they should have just, like, even for technical players, I think the point of that mob is that you don't want to fight it, right? It's not about getting something from it. It's about it being something you avoid. And all the elements around its design, its look, the way it's summoned into the world, the darkness effect, it's all about horror. You know, so if you do that one time summon the Warden, oh man, it's going to be an experience, right? They got all of that correct. But then adding a drop, I feel like the drop, you know, then it makes it farmable, and then everyone finds ways to cheese it. So, I don't know. I think it's a great idea. I think they were bold, ambitious, did something different. It'll be interesting to see how it fits into sort of like the Minecraft lore and culture, how the community embraces it. I think it's going to be really exciting for a lot of players who don't keep up with Minecraft news and just on occasion are like, oh look, new Minecraft update, let's go play it. Like, if you went into the game blind and encountered that thing, it would scare the bejesus out of you. Anonymous! My favourite poet, thank you for gifting a sub to D-Man@. Very kind of you to do so. By the way, it's really hot here, I don't have a cup of tea. I just felt like letting you know that I don't have a cup of tea. I almost fancy one, but it's just too warm. I also busted out the sweat rag today, the infamous, the legendary. It's that time of year, it's getting hot, you know, there's a bit of a heat wave here in the UK. Got to bust out the old sweat rag. It's too hot in it, says Loud Sketching. Well, right now is sort of like the peak of the day. So not a great time for me to stream in terms of the heat. But I'm kind of managing. I've had 2 nights of not so good sleep. It didn't feel good, and according to my Fitbit, it wasn't as good as it could be. You know, I care deeply about my sleep and optimizing my health. And I've been trying to go to bed earlier, which doesn't work when it's warm. You need a cool environment to sleep in. And then waking up earlier, and I've been waking up too early, so it's just like rustled my own feathers a bit. So I feel like tonight I'm gonna go to bed later again, wait for the temperature to cool down, and then do everything I can to like, you know, get a real good night's sleep. I was trying to like avoid the heat for working out, so my first workout would be like really early in the morning. But I think it's just going to be unavoidable. I'm just going to have to get used to working out in the heat. Ah, we got a good old cave. Full of mystery, creeps, and wonders. There we go. I'll light that down there up a little bit. Time to eat. Jiffy J 14, thank you for 64 months. Greatly appreciated. We also got Enderbram here for 13. I just realised something. I forgot to log in with my camera account. Although this one might not really be as replay worthy. As you can see, I'm sort of just doing bits and bobs down the side, but I'll leave it in. Who knows? Did I read out? I read out Enderbram, right? Jiffy J14. 64 months. A whole stack. That's the one. The only. I'm pressing the buttons. It's Evil X. That's kind of stinky, says Yumi Bees. I'm kind of stinky, if that's what you mean. All this sweat. Ugh. Xisuma, this 30C heat is lethal, isn't it? Says Sneezy Anus. I'm doing all right with it. I've been out for a couple of walks. It's the peak of the day, so I'm kind of sticky, you know. But I'm tolerating it. I'm doing okay. If it gets worse than this, though, I'll be writing a letter of complaint to the weatherman. I'll be like, oi, sort it out. It's too hot. You know? Can't be having none of this. Begin says, why is Xisuma eating bone meal? I mean, because I need to eat something, right? Gosh. It should be pretty self-evident as to why. Otherwise you starve in this game, and everyone's always telling me to eat when I play Minecraft. Eat, they say, eat. We could do a little something here with the spine part. We could actually like follow it all the way down and see where it ends, because it does end. Get an idea of where the bottom is. Although really, for me, the most important parts to focus on are the ribs, so that I can have components to my base available. And ideally, I'd like to space them out so they're not all just in like one area. In fact, this is a bit of a rib right here to be built, isn't it? So we'll place all them blocks. And before long, we'll need to go get some bones, right? We got Armored Monkey here for 47 months, saying 47 months at nearly 4 years of subscribing. Thank you for just under 6 years of entertainment, laughs and derps. Well, thank you for sticking along all these years, my dude. I'm glad you're enjoying what we're doing here, and thank you for your support. The Puka, the one, the only, is in the chat with the artist badge. Did you know that you had that, Puka? Did you even know it? Yeah, they added that on Twitch. Found out about it. So you and a couple of other peeps have that now. Everyone likes a badge, don't they? Makes you feel special, warm and fuzzy. Rightio. Xisuma is a Cubone Pokemon. I think Cubfan is the Cubone. What did Cubfan call me when I logged in the other day? He said, oh, it was good. It was a Bone. No, it wasn't like Bone Suma. Bone Man. I think it might have just called me Bone Man or something. I don't know. I liked it anyway. Marowak, says Sass Muffin. No, way off. It had bone in it. That's what I remember. Oh, that's that bit of the rib cage, I guess. And then we can do this bit here. Very good, very good. Colmick06 here for 15 months. Appreciate it. Hope you continue to enjoy what we're doing. What inspired you to do a skeleton for your base, says Bronzefish? You know, I've told this story, right? And right now, I'm pulling a bit of a blank. It's like, yeah, how did I come up with this again? I think I was just like enjoying the old iconic Monkey Farm skull, and thinking, oh, I've always wanted to do like a skull, right? Like I've dreamed of many Minecraft bases, and one thing I thought would be super cool to do would be like to terraform a massive island, like with a ginormous skull, because skulls have like quite a powerful kind of look to them. Yeah, rude. And I don't know, like whenever I see them done in survival, they're always like relatively small scale, which is what I would consider the one that I did actually. Like it's not like a juggernaut. But I don't know, somehow it led me to this idea. I think I started looking at like skeleton images, and then, you know, like for the skull, but you see the rest of the body as well, and then it's like, well, I could like do something with that, and then the idea of flying around the ribcage sort of came into being. Right, I don't want to take too much out of the middle because, as I mentioned, we are trying to focus this whole project on these edges. Right, and then now we're out of bone meal, so I have to go, or bones, so I have to go get some more. Good timing though for dropping off some of this stuff. Might be worth throwing down a torch or two on the way out. I'll do. Japuckle says, Happy Friday, X and chat. Thank you. The Puka says, someone said that skulls are evil, but then I realised I had one inside my head. Oh my goodness me, that means they've got evil in their head too. Well, evil exists in all of us. I mean, that's what's powerful about it. I find, like, you know, when you go look at art in a gallery, right? Like, people like to be really dismissive of, like, abstract art and stuff, but, like, whatever it is you're looking at, like, colours, shapes, they inform your brain. They make an impression on it. Sometimes these impressions are really mild. They don't mean much. But something like a skull, it just has a grimness about it. It's a reminder of mortality. And, like, in a way where you don't have to consciously think about it, but you just... it naturally invokes a feeling of that inside of yourself. So I always find that like quite a powerful image, the skull. Like you don't even have to look at it and contextualize. That was once someone who was alive, and one day I'll be a skull. You just feel it because it's a powerful image. Where am I going again? Oh yeah, I flew over. Why did I fly to this nether pool? Old habits die hard. I forgot to drop off the stone. I'll just whack it in here. Did I bring an empty shulker box with me even? Oh, at least I did that. Okay, there's a couple in here. We can take all the bones. Have you been working on any non-Hermitcraft stuff lately? I don't know how I worked a Hermity in there, just Hermitcraft stuff. Yeah, I've been working on a non-Hermitcraft project for a long time, actually. Yeah, I'm super stoked about it, but it's just at a phase where I can't really say anything yet. But know that I've been working on something. Ah! Jeez Louise, let me in. Remember once a year, a large amount of skeletons in costume go door to door to get candy? Yep, Halloween, that's the thing, isn't it? It's been at that phase for months, says the Thinky. It will probably be at that phase for months more as well. It's not a fast-moving thing that's happening. That means I am out of bone. Oh, the timing is so poor. The timing is so poor. I really need the... Oh, do you know what? I can go borrow them from my shop, I guess. I'm going to be temporary out of stock over at the shop. Must make note to self to AFK then. Let's... Alright, I'm going to open up a note. Right, I will get on getting more bones. Buy them, not borrow. What, like pay myself? I guess I could. Then if someone else came along, it would look like, well, there's a very fortuitous shop selling lots of product. Dang, I better get on it next time. I don't think we have like an official portal for that area yet. There's something we could really do with. And the lag over here just... Oh, it's awful. Parabellum streams says, yay, my first Hermitcraft stream. I watched almost all YouTube videos this season. I need more content. Ah, well, you know, my second channel... Okay, hang on, there's a button for this. Which one is it, that one? I have multiple channels here on the You of the Tubes. My second channel has all of these live streams uploaded to it, so if ever you want more content, that is the place to get some more Hermitcraft action. Why is the area so laggy, says Alikaili? A multitude of factors, one of them just being that, you know, Minecraft is just a not very well optimized game, it would seem. We've got another noise in the ear. It's Scow 117 here for 18 months. Oh, I feel an ominous presence. Yeah, it's pulling me in, peeps. I have a tongue twister for you, X. I slit a sheet I slit, upon a slitted sheet I sit. Wait, did I... A slitted sheet I sit? I think I actually said, like, every word of that correctly. So, thank you for the tongue twister. I appreciate the challenge. Oh, God. Someone's trying to buy me out. No, it's a bad time to buy me out. Not for sale. Not for sale. What about the bones? I could take some of those too. This is not a good time for my shop to be doing well. I might somewhere have like another bunch of bones lying around, but I don't know where. Right, always pay for the goods, right? I checked this yesterday and it had not made that many sales. But that's what I expect from the bone shop. I mean, I've done it several seasons. Like, when it's available, scooping up just a whole bunch of bones is something like every player's going to want to do. Just because bone meal, I mean, it's so convenient when someone else farms it for you. Eltum says, would that hurt the economy? I don't think so, unless someone wants to buy something in the next 5 or 6 hours, you know. Say Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. A peck of pickled peppers Peter Piper picked. If Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers, where the peck of pickled peppers Peter Piper picked? Oh gosh. Oh gosh. How many grills would Bear Grylls grill if Bear Grylls could grill bears? Ah! Oh, these tongue twisters. Anyway, peeps have tuned in. I think we should move on to our first talking topic of the day. Something that I feel quite strongly about when I see the swirl of opinions online around an event that happens. Who here is familiar with the stalking of a hot tub streamer called... I think it's Amanaraf, although she has one of those names where when I look at it, my brain just sort of like gives up, which is something I'm trying to work on constantly. I'm trying to catch myself being lazy and being like, no, take the time to learn this word, which is what I should have done. Amaraf. Okay, I add in extra syllables to fill people in on what's been happening. She's been stalked by some guy who has sold his life's possessions, flown across the world, sort of streams himself stalking her outside wherever she lives. And I think, if I understood the story correctly, it led to a point where this guy tried to break into her house, but she had like armed security, so... You know, whatever he was attempting to do didn't happen. It's the reaction to these events that disgust me, really. Has anyone else been following this story in chat? Is there anything I need to add to that? Like, more context or something I've forgotten? Becca says, yeah, I read that this morning. Yeah, it's you know, becoming a big story that people are talking about. It's the people's different takes on it that really annoy me. There you go. So Tagama says the worst part is that some people are saying that she was asking for it. Yeah, this is the bit that like I feel like needs to be addressed in these kind of like dramas and gossips. So because she's a hot tub streamer, you know, exposing herself to whatever degree Twitch allows, it's not my kind of thing. A lot of people don't like it, but if you disagree with like, you know, what someone wants to do on the internet, that's like one thing. But then to say that means it's okay for other people to act in such ways as like stalking and that kind of behavior, like it's the old two wrongs don't make a right, just sort of thought about in reverse. Usually it's like someone does something wrong to you and then you want to get revenge and they say two wrongs don't make a right. And in this way, it's sort of like it's been flipped the other way around. So people say, well, you know, she's scantily clad and shows off her body all day. What does she expect? And it's just a really erroneous way of thinking. X, you should be a hot tub streamer. Who says I ain't in a hot tub right now? Jeez, can't you hear all those bubbles? Then you also have things like swatting, says Mayschool. Yeah. Yeah. So for me, like, I've had my own experience with my identity being compromised and stuff, and then people say, what do you expect, X? It comes with the territory. Like, it's kind of funny. As a streamer, an online person, I've come to expect that these things will happen from time to time, and I kind of live with the mentality of, well, that's just kind of how it is, but it doesn't make it right. Doesn't make it right. And it's a really bad attitude to have. And I think one of the best examples comes from this old tale of the Yorkshire Ripper over here in the UK. And it was, I think, in the like mid-70s, there was like a copycat murderer going around murdering women, and you know, women didn't feel safe out on the streets, and the police said that women should stay inside, right? They shouldn't go out at night on their own. And it's such like a terrible statement, because you're putting the onus on the victim. And that's what's happening in this situation. Like, you don't put the blame on the victim of a situation. So, you know, the mistake that they made with the Yorkshire Ripper case was that, like, you can't say there's a sicko out in society, so, like, you know, it's your fault if you are out and about at this hour of the day. That's not how it works. We want our society to be safe at all times for all people. And you have to blame the person who's out there committing these crimes. You have to condemn their actions and hopefully catch them and stop them. You can't tell people who are victims to, you know, fend for themselves or whatever. And it's kind of like that. You know, these people saying that because she does what she does, she's asking for it. It's such, like, no one wants to do that. Like, they're not asking for it, and it doesn't make it right. Again, it's like the two wrongs don't make a right, but flipped in reverse. Police likes to gaslight like that, says Mayschool. I understand gaslighting to be the act of essentially, like, saying and throwing a lot of information in an argument to kind of just sort of overwhelm, you know, and make people sort of give up and just join the narrative. But, like, what it is in my mind is just you know, things have generally gotten better in many different metrics, and one of those things is how we have progressed as a society and learned from our mistakes in you know, a sort of strange way where it always feels like the worst thing's happening all the time. But if you compare policing practices and standards of the past to modern day, you can track massive improvements, and some of them is just in the attitudes of people. Like, society tends to get smarter and hold on to better ideas, and the way I look at that Yorkshire Ripper thing is like policing's come away since then, right? It's gotten smarter and hopefully better in some measurements. Like, I don't think you see as much of that anymore, where they essentially blame the victims, right? It's more misogyny than gaslight. It's definitely got an air of misogyny to it, I give you that. As it's the sort of story, and when people have opinions like that, that's rarely flipped. That the foot is rarely, the shoe is rarely on the other foot for men, let's say, something like that. Does anyone disagree? I'm looking in chat. You know, I always like to hear an opinion from the other side. I'm pretty set on this one, but it's always important to hear two sides of a story. Where's my sweat rag? Oh, look at that sweat rag hype. God. It's warm in here. Jared Lambie, thank you for the prime, my dude. Monkey for life baby, thanks for gifting a sub to Canex12. Appreciate you doing that. Canex, be sure to say thanks in the chat. I am Churd. Is here for 9 months. Let's get a Twitch baby on the screen right there. Hey X, which fabric-based server-side mod are you using this season? There's a few off the top of my head. Like the lighting engine one, Phosphor, is one of them. Castle Doom says, I've never heard someone say he was asking for it. Well, I can immediately think of situations where I've heard that, but I know exactly what you mean. I know, like, it's so ridiculous. I don't understand that train of thinking other than, you know, just not having been exposed to better ways of looking at the situation. I 99% agree, but I wouldn't go swimming with sharks with a chum bucket tied around my waist, says Toaster Cheeser. Right, but we're not talking about, like, someone sort of wandering into danger, are we? Like, if you're in the privacy of your own home, like, maybe, you know, maybe there is something to be said about broadcasting yourself online, but as someone who does that, let me tell you, I don't think it gives anyone the right to turn up at my house or just present themselves into my life because they've seen me online. That just feels like a huge violation. And if you don't understand that, and you are not a creator, then it might be a good idea just to listen to the creators on that one, right? Like, when you don't understand something about a group or a demographic, that might be a really good cue to listen to them and hear things from their perspective. It's like the saying, boys will be boys. That's a valid statement for little kids who are running around and playing and being boisterous, not grown adults who are harassing other people. Yeah, but not only is that statement for little kids, I think the statement needs to go as well. It's an excuse. Like, I guess you can talk about it casually when, you know, a kid has done something silly that's typical of kids or whatever. You might say boys will be boys, but like, to me it also like sort of reinforces like gender stereotypes a little, in the same ways that, you know, like girls play with Barbie dolls and boys play with cowboys and Indians. Like, it's sort of like a reinforcing circle. And it's one that I don't particularly agree with. Like, I think it's like a pretty difficult concept introduced to society and say, take away these toys or whatever. I don't mean it like that. I just mean that maybe some of these things we do, like the toys that we pass on, maybe they have some bad ideas baked into them, you know? Ideas that could change. It reinforces toxic gender stereotypes, as Crafted Jedi. Yeah, I'm a bit less keen on throwing that toxic term around. It's like a bit loaded. I mean, it's just, I wouldn't say it like it brings out the toxic traits. It's just the fact that, like, you're sort of predefining a kid's personality. Like, when you give a child a toy, right? Like, I like the example of going to extremes. Just imagine giving, you know, a kid a horrendous toy, right? I don't know, like Ed Gein the toy or something, you know? Comes with a real dead skin mask. Like, that's absolutely abhorrent, and you wouldn't want a kid playing with that because it would influence that kid. Right? Now, the idea of cowboys and Indians may not seem abhorrent, but think about what sort of stereotypes they can reinforce. I don't know. I'm not very great at articulating this, right? Yeah, believing that boys will be boys just gives an excuse for terrible behaviour and actually sets a really low bar for men. Just because I'm a man and noticing a woman is attractive doesn't mean I'm going to start stalking her. I know better than that, says Fenarang. Yep, that's like exactly it. The fault in this situation is all on that stalker. Like, their behavior is unacceptable, and that's kind of like, that's where the conversation should end. Alright, but for some reason it doesn't. Orgoid9, thank you ever so much for the prime, my dude. Appreciate it. Hope you're enjoying the stream, having a good time hanging out with us. Not to mention girls' toys and the ways it sets horrible expectation for young girls to live up to. Yep, I totally see that too. Sort of enforces particular standards of beauty and whatnot. That's why I like these, the idea of like more gender-neutral toys and characters and whatnot. I don't really like keep a close eye on it, but I get the impression things have changed a bit from when I was younger. Like, I like that young people are into like more, I guess, kind of nerdy stuff, you know, like seeing the prevalence of things like Harry Potter and whatnot. To me, is kind of promising, because those things are about like imagination and creativity and whatnot, and not about like, I don't know, giving boys like wrestling figures or whatever as toys for kids. But hey, I don't really know what I'm saying. Like, this isn't something I have thought about a lot. We just sort of went there from that story. Amusingly, I love old Barbies. They were a lot more focused on all sorts of professions and excelling them in regardless whether they were traditionally men's jobs. Nowadays, it's just a lot more about fashion. Yeah, I think I know what you're getting at. Like, there was like an empowerment angle at one point in time on it. Yeah, like thinking back to when women had more like stereotypical roles, like, you know, stay-at-home wife or whatever in society. I could see how a toy like that could challenge those notions. And then we get past all of that, and then we look back at the toy and we're like, no, this doesn't work anymore. Typical humans. God. How do we feel about Ryan Gosling being cast as Ken? Is there a Barbie movie being made? I quite like Ryan Gosling as an actor. If I'm not confusing him with that other actor that sort of looks a bit like him. Like, although he's a big name, didn't he do like lots of really interesting indie movies? I seem to recall watching quite a few indie movies with him. But yeah, I don't know, like, to me, doesn't sound like playing Ken in a Barbie movie doesn't sound like a career challenging move. Just sort of sounds like, I don't know what it sounds like. He played in Blade Runner. Oh yeah. Yes, okay, I am thinking of the right one then. Yeah, so he had like he had done quite a lot of indie type movies at one point in time that were really good. Watched a lot of them. Yeah, decent actor. I'm sure he will play Ken exceedingly well. I'm sure he'll convince you he's a plastic doll. You know? That'll be some top level acting right there. Maybe they'll just make a giant life-size Ryan Gosling doll. In every scene it's just like, doesn't move. It's just the idea of a Barbie movie. It just feels so corporate. It just sounds it, you know, like, oh, they're trying to make money. They'll have a go at the Barbie thing now. I don't know. Always seems like that. Maybe I'm a bit of a cynic. Really liked him in Drive. Yeah, Drive. That was one of them. That was one of those movies. In a plastic world where life is plastic, it's fantastic. That's that. I'm a Barbie girl in a Barbie world. That was on the radio when I was a kid. That song made me want to die whenever I heard it. I was just like, please, please. There's got to be more to life than this. Also, running out of time, says Talbar. Yeah. I can't recall, like, off the top of my head any names when I think of his movies, but I remember, like, a few posters and, general concepts. Like, I seem to remember one having something to do with a haunted house. I'll go look it up, probably. I say that, after this stream, I've got to, like, do a gazillion jobs and cook. Oh, I'm going to cook a motte paneer today. Yeah, and I've already had a couple of... Oh, I already had a curry earlier today. I had a lentil bean curry with some rice. That was nice. Then I had, like, a salad that was quite like a ramen bowl. Like, lots of little bits of, I don't know, cucumber, pickled cabbage, rice noodles, spinach leaves, chicken. Like, just, like, a nice little variety of healthy stuff. And then later on I'm going to have a motte paneer and finish my smoothie. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying my food. Where the bones at? We got Ice Pick here for 12 months, a whole year, saying 1 year ago I actually have a IRL meetup today with people from an SMP today, from people who are all inspired by Hermitcraft. Cool. Cool, man. I hope you enjoy it. That sounds awesome. Ooh, sweat rag is being deployed. Gotta wipe that brow. Oh, jeez. Right, what are we going to talk about next? What's going on in the world? What do we need to address? We need to talk about... That's Philip DeFranco right there, isn't it? We need to talk about this thing. The psychology amuses me. Like I'm gonna be scrolling through. Oh my god, we need to talk about it. I guess it works though, right? Mayschool, are you enjoying my singing? Just joined the stream, quite a deep conversation for a Friday. Hey, every day is a good day for a deep conversation. We need a channel of Xisuma sings. Oh dear. Singer X is very rare but very welcome apparently. Cool, I'm glad you like it. Alright, there we go. That's going to kind of conclude this little area. Drive, Ride, I think it only had 2 lines in that movie. It wasn't even supposed to be a big movie, but both got commercial success and the people and the critics loved it. By the way, you know Ken's Barbie's brother, don't you? Just asking. I didn't know that, I just... Ken and Barbie, I don't know. I don't know much about Barbie. Other than it's a doll. Doll's gonna creep me out. Like, even like probably Barbie ones, but like really old-fashioned dolls. I don't know, something about them I just find a little bit creepy. Like, I don't enjoy looking at, like, you know, you go to some antiquities museum and there's all sorts of collections of interesting stuff. Old toys, things like that. I never like the dolls. Something about the eyes. Creepy. Furbies? Question mark. I think I might have had a Furby when I was a kid. There were a few things like that that sort of came and went that were just like such fads. Like Tamagotchi was another big fad. Like this little virtual electronic pet. Oh, and like the marketing, like, I fell for it. I was just a kid, you know. Mum, Dad, I've got to have a Tamagotchi. Everyone's playing with it. There was even a period where, like, yo-yos became cool again. I didn't buy into that, though. Or did I? I seem to remember doing some tricks now when I was in school with the yo-yos. Oh, the Uncanny Valley. It might be. You know, I wouldn't. Maybe it is a bit of Uncanny Valley, yeah. But it gives me creepy vibes. Oh god, you had a herd of long Furbies. I think I had like one. I don't even remember what they did. Were they just like, sort of like a cute little toy that sort of moved about a bit or something? Very, very novelty and a disposable stuff at the time. Be interesting to know how much kids get things like that compared to computer games or like digital stuff these days. Because with streaming, like, there's no VHSs and DVDs and whatnot. Like, I always used to look at stuff like that, and I think, like, this just ends up in a landfill one day, right? You know? Like, these mass-produced products that people are, like, interested in for a little while and then get bored of. And that's what a Furby is, right? Because they're not going to be, like... It's one of those problems with capitalism. It's not like, here's your Furby for life. It's like, here's your Furby, and in 6 months we're going to be preying on you with something different. Right? Furbies are out. Now it's all about Pokemon. That kind of thing. Like, some new trend will come along and everyone throws their Furbies away. No kid is playing with a Furby anymore. I'll tell you that. Fegley says, never had a Tamagotchi as a kid. I did have real people I could hang out with though instead though. Oh, it's funny you say that, but they weren't actually antisocial, at least in the way I remember them. Like, they used to battle each other, right? You used to plug, so like that was one of the things about them that they used to sell, is that they made them social. So all the kids at school were hooking up the Tamagotchis and battling each other, right? And so if you didn't have one, you weren't part of the playground conversation or whatever. That's how I remember it. I remember having one and battling people, so pretty sure it wasn't like an antisocial toy. I mean, maybe you had one and didn't want to play with anyone else, but like, it kind of fostered social behavior. I collect antique China dolls as a child and now I'm a goth. Says Elo's heart. So you collect those creepy old dolls and then you go for the gothic look. Got ya. Oh, by the way, I have been listening to this H.P. Lovecraft novel, and man, his writing like completely engrosses me. I talk a lot about being present. Live streaming is really cool. Live streaming is like an activity where I get to be very present. Like, I'm very like sucked into this moment, you know. I'm sort of here focusing on what's going on. My mind isn't like drifting and wandering that much. But let's say I go like, you know, out and about listening to a podcast. Podcasts are great, they keep my attention, but sometimes, you know, you start to think about other stuff. What did they say? Same with audiobooks and other things. Your mind's always like going all over the place. And I'm always trying to like work on that a little bit. And so listening to this H.P. Lovecraft book, like, it was exactly what I wanted. It was like, I just want to listen to like a novel where I'm like pulled in and I'm on the edge of every word. And it's like that. Like, this story that's unfolding is just bizarre and totally got my interest. I was kind of like thinking I'd probably, you know, talk about it when I'm done, but it just kind of came into my mind. So I haven't finished it yet. I've deliberately been listening like to it at the best opportunities I can, rather than just like whenever I've got a little bit of time, you know. Like, it's like I really want to make sure I pick my moments to like really enjoy this story. And one thing I think it would probably suit is listening to it in winter, going for walks at night when it's dark. That is going to be fun. But yeah, I've been aware of like H.P. Lovecraft for some time. First time I was introduced to it was Cradle of Filth. I think they have an album with Lovecraft in the name, and then I kind of learned it was some old author. But like, it's nice to learn about something when someone's passionate and they want to like tell you why you should like it, or more than just, you know, oh, some old novelist or whatever. And so on a couple of occasions I've learned about how this guy was like some old novelist who made like really creepy, scary stories, right? He was also a racist and a bit mad and loony, and that didn't really draw me in. And then my mate was explaining to me that it's cosmic horror, and like was it describing some of these creatures, like the ancient ones, and how like they're so incomprehensible, like to look at them melts your mind. And I was like, whoa, this is like pretty interesting sounding. And then I realized once I watched a video explaining like all these different creatures, like Yoggoth or something it's called. Yoggoth, I don't know, he's got a really tricky way to pronounce it. And then I was just like, this is like, I know this stuff. This is in metal everywhere. And I started looking like at my record collection and seeing the names of these creatures in song names, album art. I just started to realize like this is like influenced a lot of stuff I already like. I think even on my music blog you can find reviews of records like Revocation had an album called The Ancient Ones or something, and then there's some other bands like this esoteric black metal, and when you look at the creatures you realize that they're like H.P. Lovecraft monsters, and some of the songs are named after him and stuff. And so I just kind of realized that it's like already massively influenced some stuff I like. Peter says Cradle, not Metallica. Cthulhu's cool. Cthulhu mythos started by him. Also the Necronomicon. Yeah, I was aware of Metallica's Call of the Cthulhu. Oh, Aka Etu says Yog-Sothoth. Yeah, that's it, Yog-Sothoth. So I was aware of the Metallica song, right? But as a kid, like, I kind of knew that Cthulhu was like some sort of mythic beast, but I didn't know it was H.P. Lovecraft. And then later on when I did learn it, I then obviously know, well, Metallica liked them, but I didn't really like see it that strongly. I should probably go listen to that song again sometime once I learn more about this creature. But Cradle of Filth was the band that had like a fair bit of it that I picked up on. Richard Thornton, thank you ever so much for the raid. Being raided, peeps. Welcome all the raiders. A herd of nerds. That sounds like a lyric I wrote. To hurt this herd of nerds is absurd. How my rhymes got them injured. Danger, danger. Dang, I need an excuse to do a rap again. Welcome everyone. We are working on my base, which I will show you in just a second. We're kind of like in a rush to get as much of this ribcage done. Yes, I said ribcage, as possible. And I really need some more torches here and there. Anyway, let's... Do you know what? I haven't done much of this yet, like flying around it. But it's good and spacious. So the idea is that these little gaps between the ribs of the ribcage will eventually be things that I can fly into. And when I fly into them, there will be rooms and parts of the base, components. And from over here, it won't be black, it will be, I don't know, like brown. Like I'll color code them or give them hints as to, if I go over here, I'll find this, that kind of thing, right? Yeah, I'm just remembering we were going to do an experiment earlier that I kind of forgot about. Let's come back to this in a bit. We were going to have a go at expanding the spine further down. Yeah, I think I'll do that next. I like jumping about and doing different bits of it. Talbot says looks really cool. Thanks, man. It's really cool to see it manifest. So yeah, anyway, like I feel like I might be on the cusp of finding like another new little passion with this H.P. Lovecraft stuff. And it's just typical for me to be attracted to like something that's dark. You know, I love all of that. When it's like when things are good and like uplifting and whatnot, I like them to be real stories, and I think I like horror and stuff to be dark, because I try and not pay as much attention to like all the actual horrors in the world and hear more about the good that people are doing. But then when it comes to entertainment, I like watching stuff that leans in the dark direction, I guess. Like Stranger Things. Stranger Things is like, if you rolled back time 20 years, like that would be a real horror. Whereas I don't know how people see Stranger Things. I've watched so much horror, it doesn't feel like horror to me, but it's got like a lot of horrific imagery in it at times. Ooh. Have you played SCP? I don't know what SCP is. For me, the modern horror thing is Black Mirror, says May School. Yeah, that is. I don't know if you'd call it like psychological horror. It's more like social horror? I don't know. Or futurist horror? It's definitely like got that horror component if you understand the implications of the things they're trying to like tell you with the show, right? I mean, there's stuff that has even now happened that in society that was once like a horror story on Black Mirror. Shows you how sharp the writers were and sort of on the finger of what was to come. You should try looking into SCP. What is SCP? Y'all into DZY? Oh, DZY! Gosh, the best thing ever, isn't it? Jeez, you and your letters. Beard meets food is horror. I like beard meets food. It's like therapy. It's like, yeah, I don't actually want to binge now. I'll let you do all that. Don't know SCP, you should try PC. I feel like this is an attempted troll. Okay, no, maybe not. Secure Contain Project. It's a containment breach, a horror game. Doesn't even depend on jump scares. Very good. Secure, contain, protect. Alright. I'll have a look. I'll have a little look, you know. I've been playing chess, by the way. I've been getting really engrossed with chess. I've been doing the lessons. I've been learning some concepts. I'm looking at the board differently. I've noticed that like time really flies when I'm playing chess. Like, it's just like I get so engrossed in the thinking process, and then it's like every day it's like, all right, coffee, then workout. But I'm gonna, you know, drink my coffee, do a bit of chess, then 10 minutes. That's all I get, and it always ends up being half an hour. Always ends up being way more time than I said. I also did say that we were going to focus on finding the bottom of the spine, so let's actually try and do that today. Yeah, God, we're jumping about all over the place talking about stuff. I literally can't remember what I said just a second ago. Such a professional streamer. I should probably, right about now, have a sip of water. Be good. This speedrun is I'm learning, being mentally frustrated, I need a small break. How are you, X in chat? I'm doing good. So, yeah, I remember what I was going to say. So, with the chess, I've been trying to beat the adaptive 1200 player. And, you know, I had some very interesting games, and then I would make blunders. I've noticed I'm really bad at closing out a game. Like, on several occasions, I've managed to take their queen. I have a material advantage, and then I just don't really know where to go with it. But today, I was able to beat it, and it took me a lot of moves. But then you can analyze your game and go back and see moves that you missed and like checkmates that you missed, and it's so helpful and so interesting as well. I think what chess does is it creates like a complexity out of a simplicity, which is often like a really great thing to find in a game, where even though you got like these base components, I mean, you only got like a handful of pieces, you've got an 8x8 board, and yet from the starting position the game just seems to unravel in so many different ways. And so every, like, even just like looking at a chessboard halfway through a game, all of a sudden you can start to just see like there's moves available, and like you start to see which which piece is pinning another one, and I've been learning about these like different ways of looking at the game. Like exchanging material is a very useful one. It allows you to protect your pieces in a way where you can sort of see, okay, if they're gonna like take your piece, you've got moves too, and you can come out of that with a material advantage. And a few other concepts as well have really started to help my game. But the key thing, I think, is to look at the game as if you're playing for both players. And I've started to do just a little bit of that. It's kind of difficult. You kind of wander into looking at things from your own perspective. But if you're looking at it like you're literally playing both players, then you start to like pick up on what they're doing a bit more, and you'll see, right, you know, like they've got lines of attack across the board, and they're pinning some of your units and whatnot. The pinning units is a really interesting concept. Like, one of them is if you get one of their units in front of the king, but it can't attack you, you can sort of sit looking at it, and then they can never move it out of the way, even though they can't attack the piece that's pinning it. They can't move it out of the way, because then you move in and get checkmate, and it's like an interesting way to hold down a piece. So yeah, I don't know, all these concepts are like really fascinating to me. I've just been enjoying the learning process. Super cool, super fun. It's nice to like learn a new skill or game or something, isn't it? Engage your mind. Dagley's here with the cheers and Betty saying, anyway, SCP has started, is a wiki started by a group of people who started writing like creepypasta horror stories, and eventually it naturally evolved into an entire wiki with different canons and over 1,000 different stories all added by the community. It's basically like modern horror mythos. The general idea though is all the stories are written in a report-like style, like the researchers are reporting on the horror concept. That sounds really that sounds fascinating, my dude. I kind of like those creepy little copy-paste stories. I've read some of those and they're quite interesting. Sort of like small digestible horror stories, often told like quite casually, right? As if they're just written between people on a forum or something. It's a clever little approach for writing. But yeah, someone said it was a game a minute ago, so I don't know. Friend of mine said, find your opponent's best move, then find the best move to counter before they make it. Yeah, that's really good advice. That's really good advice, yeah. And I had this one game where I failed because I was doing other things at the time. I couldn't really give it my full attention. I was sort of playing whilst doing other things. And I was a bit hurried as well. But I had this game where I just made a couple of different moves early on, and my horse sort of got up in the enemy territory, right, up in their half of the board. And I forced the king outwards, and then I had like a couple of moves where I could pull the king out to the middle of the board. And I was like, this is really different. Like, how have I managed to do this? The king is now like almost sitting in my half of the board. And then I took their queen, but then I started making blunders as I was distracted and stuff. So yeah, you do have to be patient with that game. Like, I think what I was doing was like, once I get their queen, it just sort of feels like, oh, this will be easy now, and it's not. You still got to think. You still got to like play the game proper and give it respect. Is X running out of time? Great question. Yes. So 1.19 or Hermitcraft will be updating to 1.19 soon, and there isn't going to be like Madoka, and that means that I can't work on my base any further. I don't think. Oh, we got a sub bomb. Goodness me! Thank you so much. I'll finish my train of thought. What was the other thing I was going to do? Torches. Yeah, let me explain the situation. So, here we go. So I need to do as much as I can, because when we update to 1.19, there really isn't too much of a way for me to continue working on this. And so, the more the ribs I get in place now, then the further along I can do what I need to do before, you know, 1.19, sorry, Light Madoka comes back to 1.19. It's not ideal to rely on a mod like that, but I just really didn't consider that. I just sort of, you know, I say we all, some of us, most of us probably use Light Madoka And it's just one of those things where, like, you're not using it thinking of the what if, I guess. You're not thinking, like, what if this isn't here tomorrow or whatever. And now it seems like, oh, that's actually going to be a problem for me. Because I had some other stuff planned for live streams, and then I was like, well, I actually just need to keep doing this. So until 1.19 arrives, I kind of need to, like, knuckle down and work on this as much as I can, which really annoys me because I just got on top of everything I was doing, and I could have had, like, a moment to breathe and do some other stuff. You know, I don't know, I got, like, you know, all sorts of ideas and projects in the work, but no, it's going to be this. Right, Only Room for Hope. Thank you so much for subscribing with that Amazon Prime. We got JKL's 1998 here for 16 months. I feel like this is a cue for me to switch to standing as well. Sunrise Agali, thank you for 5 months of support. Was there any other ones before this massive sub bomb? No, there wasn't. Baitan Daniil, thank you so much for gifting 20 subs. Goodness me. We need that animation on the screen. I'm going to give you a bonus one as well for your generosity, okay? Alright, a bonus animation. What will it be? What one do we rarely see? This one. We rarely see this one. This is more for the peeps that I used to that I used to commune with back in the day. We'd all be working on projects, doing stuff in the plot world. And then I would all of a sudden be a million miles away, unable to retain my attention. That is the origin of that meme. That is a water bottle. We got one for that. Yeah, catching butterflies was the phrase that emerged from back then. Yeah, back then when we were talking about all that, I didn't really have, like, the narrative of attention and focus and mindfulness, and I wonder how it relates to that. Kind of hard to sort of think back, and you know, that was before the whole short attention span was really like a sort of thing people were talking about, I guess. If it were that. Right, let's read some names. Red Phoenix, Archaean, Max is Maxi SCP. There it is again, SCP. Excuse me, burping. Christina LC 77, Almo 98, Mama Bear 67, Dark Seeker, Mon PJC, The Nick 2Q, Venema, Got No Game, Groovy Kid, McLesley, Pepperfly 2, Ultraviolet Pips, Cosman 49, Nal Usuka, Tales of Emily, Chessman 4, Mr. Anderson. Appreciate it. Appreciate it, everyone. Be sure to say thanks in the chat to Baitan Daniil if you heard your name being read out loud. You've been gifted a sub. I think this means that... Oh no, I already filled that in with bone. Okay. You know, I could just keep going down in this little section here if I wanted to, right? Just kind of like what I feel like doing for a minute. And put all of these in and then go at it again, I guess. Zlifer says, will you ever do a face reveal? Oh, do you know what? I can't even be bothered to make a joke. I was just like, oh. Yeah, whatever. Oh my days, will I ever do a face reveal? Maybe! I keep flipping the coin and every day it comes up tails. So until it comes up heads, you know, I think there's something wrong with that coin. God. It's rigged. The Thinky says, I've never played any SCP game, but I feel it'd be super fun to see Xisuma play. So what is it? Is it a game or a wiki? I thought it was a wiki. Or the two somehow linked? Yeah, I don't really get what's going on with that. wonder what Y height we're at. 106. Still crazy high in the world. You know, I could argue that this is like not a productive use of my time, as it doesn't open up the rib cages. Or the ribs. The ribs are what I need to focus on, but... I just had a weird idea. Oh my goodness me. That's as far down as it goes. I didn't think of doing that. Because we changed the way it displayed recently, now, wow. So what are we, like... Maybe 50% of the way there. Like, no, probably a bit more. It looks like this thing gets way sort of bigger around. We are further along than I thought. Okay, that was super interesting. That might be the thumbnail. I bet we can make this look cool if we put it in the right place. That looks pretty cool, actually. Dang. Okay, that was a good idea. Right, I now no longer want to do this. I'm going to go work on the ribs again. So I'm going to make my way up. Maybe this bit. Is this like the next bit to be done? I'm going to assume it is and work on this one now. Okay, I'm also not going to like rigidly stick to where they need to go. Right, what are we going to talk about next, peeps? Y'all are obviously impressed by the schematic. The schematic looks way better than it used to when you had the extra blocks. Yes. Yeah, because maybe I had done that before on camera, right? But like when I saw that, it kind of made me think, haven't I, like, you know, tried to look at this before and it wasn't very good? And it's because we had all those purple bits, right? So you couldn't really see what was going on. But that time it was like, oh wow, crystal clear. Yeah, I think I'm going to head up a little bit here. I gotta say, seeing that a moment ago kind of like really motivated me. I'm probably not going to get it all done before 1.19, right? But like that was nice to see. That was like, yeah, this is going to be amazing. What's your favourite bone? My funny bone. I don't know, that's not what we talk about at length here on this channel, is it? You need to eat X. Yeah, I do. Why do you not choose... Sorry, why did you choose not to change the orientation of the bone blocks of the ribs? Wouldn't it make sense for the marrow to be connected like the real bones? Just because, like, it just adds so much more when you have to think about, like, how it's placed. I maybe could have just embraced always placing it in many different directions. In fact, I could have, now I think about it, I could have tested that relatively easy using World Edit, but too late now. We're totally in. I also realized something that kind of disappointed me a bit. I had this like style in mind for this season, and I realized like another concept of it was to play a bit more patchwork, right? And I did the thing that I was trying to avoid, which was like create a big grind. Like this is a cool project, don't get me wrong, but it sort of actually goes against some of the principles I was trying to embrace a little bit, right? By creating a big grind. I mean, once this is finished though, it will give me back the little patchwork project that I want, where it's like I can go to each rib cage and then just build something in it. Like, whatever I feel like. Oh, I want this type of farm. Let's go pick a rib cage, fly into it. It's now the area where we do that thing, right? But, yeah, I didn't really want to get there by doing a massive grind. Like, if I could start the season again, after we build the starter base, I think I should have just not done a mega base and just found a way to play just doing small little projects. If I think back to Season 6... I always think very fondly of that season. And, you know what, I didn't have, like, a mega base. Like, I was always going all over the place doing different projects, right? And then got inspired to build all those towers. Had Tower Bay, that was kind of like a bit of a mega base, but... yeah, it had more of that patchwork vibe. That's what I've been thinking, patchwork. And the other thing is, like, to get away from decorating with... you know, symmetrical layouts and try and get like organic shapes and stuff going. And those things take time, right? And so the idea would be that instead of time spent grinding, I would be investing in that. But hey, once this is done, we can then do that. That is always a terrifying sound because they can be pretty brutal, those little devils. Begley says, start the season, X. Man, I'm really tired of all these mega bases. Let's just start small and work from there. Episode 4, okay, we're building a giant skeleton. Yeah, that's exactly it. It's like I've just sort of fallen back into my old ways without thinking about it. And I, you know, desperately wanted to make that change. But this will be it. Like this, I think this is like the last mega type build that I do. Because I just want to put my time into different things instead of grinding, right? It's just there's this mentality of like big is good, and I think big is good as long as you're not doing it just because it's big, right? Like it has to have something else to it, and you obviously know that this project does. But yeah. Speaking of eating, your offline thumbnail on Twitch still shows eat. Oh yeah, that one got removed. Well, you know, that's quite low on the priority list to fix. Last ever or last this season? I think in general last ever. Just, I've got other projects and things that I want to do, and I've just got to stop doing this, like, playing this game in this grind way. Like, it's just not productive, I don't think. My recent video that's been a big success proved that to me, because, like, I wanted to do a video like that for so long, and then finally, like, the timing just happens to work out, and then you see how people react to it, and it's like, yeah, there's definitely something to this, and you know, I want to keep pursuing it. But it's always like Hermitcraft, Hermitcraft, Hermitcraft. There we go. Cool, I'm getting a sweat on now that I'm standing. Your base does remind me a bit of the mysterious meat cave world building project. I have no idea what that is. Mysterious meat cave. I honestly thought you'd give Season 9 a miss, says Becca. Really? What made you think that? Probably because I talk about all these other ambitions all the time. Yeah, that would probably be it. I gotta admit, there is that, like... I am, you know, very sort of time conscious and trying to be productive, and just sort of seeing how this style of gameplay is just not... It's grind. I mean, it's in the name, right? Like, you got to think about what it means to grind, right? There's being creative, there's being artistic, there's inventing stuff with redstone and coming up with cool, crazy contraptions, but what do I spend most of the time doing? Grinding. And that's what's got to change for me. It's just... Don't get me wrong. I enjoy it. It's fun. I've enjoyed doing the ribcage. But I've done this for years, right? And it's like, it just feels like I need to pivot and change up the plan a little bit or something. Yeah, I've got like a list of ideas for 1.19 farms, and I just haven't found any time to like brainstorm and create them, and like could do that on stream, you know. So maybe when the ribcage is done, we'll start doing different types of stream over here. We'll do some redstone engineering ones, which we did a little bit of here and there, and it was a lot of fun. That was before I started the ribcage. Now to think about it, right? Earlier this season, we played around with piston feed tapes, and I got to this point where it was like, I now understand like what things need to be learned about this, and then guess what? I haven't had a time since. The game has evolved so much. Tango's last episode would have been a whole season a few years back. Yeah, maybe. I mean, I sort of think that that kind of goes both ways, because oh wow, okay, we got a problem. Because there's like what we put into episodes goes up, but also the game has gotten slower because of all these items and like the constant need for inventory management. Right, let's go. Press that button. Turn off that. I think this is a bit overdue. But these things we should have been putting in along the way, all the way, really. Kate says, honestly, you haven't seen Happy with Hermitcraft in a long time. I mean, if you would care to elaborate a little bit more on that, I'd be interested to hear what you say. Like, it's not Hermitcraft that I'm not happy with. It's how I'm constantly having all of these ideas and other like creative desires, but I'm just always on here grinding, you know? That's my issue. I mean, if it weren't Hermitcraft, if it were a single player world, it's the grinding. Right, I need to get rid of that torch. That's going to sort of distort what we're doing. And here's another one to mess it up. Carls says, maybe Peeps got the impression of you not being happy with HC is when you said if you'd known when you'd die, HC would not be a priority and you'd be off doing something else, and you say it's a time sink. Yeah, I have said that, but like, isn't that quite understandable? I don't know, it's this inertia thing, right? Like, everyone wants to like travel the world and do all of these other things with their time, but you do your work, you do your job, if you like, right? Don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to sound like, oh, Hermitcraft is just a job. Definitely not. It's a total amazing thing to play a game for a living. It's fun, it's creative, have a great time. It's a good way to spend your time. But like the idea of knowing when you die also then makes the time that you have very limited in quantity. So, you know, I'd immediately change course. I mean, I probably wouldn't make any videos anymore, right? I would just stop being a YouTuber if I was going to die in a year. And you see, what's weird about that is it's like, should I therefore be doing this, right? It's that weird inertia thing that I talk about. Like how you choose to spend your time, because if you knew you had a very small amount of time, all of a sudden you'd be trying to maximize things like, you know, going on holiday and seeing people and whatnot. But because you don't know, you go through the motions and you do those day-to-day things, and you don't live like it might all disappear in a moment. It's a strange thing. I'm not trying to put it on like what I do specifically. It's more like if I were doing anything, if I were doing any old job, and then it's like, hey, you've only got so much time left. It's like, well, I'm not doing this with it. Tower says, wouldn't everyone change their lives if they would die in a year? Yeah, I think most people probably would, right? It's just such a strange concept, because you know there's a few like crazy people out there who are very like, when I say crazy, I mean like inspiring and courageous, that, you know, you like kind of people you hear about on podcasts talking about how they like drop everything and pursue their dream, and it's like some people just have it. Like, you don't need to. Doesn't like matter if you might die one day. It's like they see it like, you know, you go do that thing anyway. If I'm articulating it well or not, I'm sure some of you get what I'm saying. Hey X, hope you're doing well and wish you a great weekend. Enjoying your hasty episode so far a lot. Very casual and relaxing. Thank you. Glad you're enjoying it. I've got the next one ready, and I was going to put it out Monday. So I kind of have this rule of like, put them out Monday, and then it gives me time to like relax or whatever over the weekend and not worry about being on time with stuff or not. Because I wanna stick to one a week. But yeah, I was also then thinking of recording another type of video related to it. I had got a little inkling to do something a bit fun, a bit different, and I think we've already done this bit here. And so what I might do, I haven't made up my mind yet. I might publish the video tomorrow instead. I keep hearing noises of mobs. And then if I do that, it means I'll put out like an extra video in the week, but not entirely sure where I'm at with that. Okay, here we go. Right, so we're back to doing it that way now, I guess. Back on this thing. I need some bones. Dang, how much time we got? We've got like half hour left. We're going to use up all of those, I think. If I knew I was going to die in 1 year, I would not be teaching this fall. Interesting perspective, says Ari Air Free. So I was having a conversation with my mates about this. I find this just to be one of the most like brilliant ideas. That knowing when you're going to die is a superpower, and if someone could do that thing of like, you know, I can press a magic button and actually tell you, like, would you or wouldn't you? Like, you'd be foolish not to, I think. Like, it is an absolute superpower to know when. And I was talking to my mate about this, and he's pretty resilient to the idea, because like you know, you would sort of live with the dread of that knowledge, right? But then he started to think about his family and how if he knew, he could put things in order for them. And then there was like this totally different motivation on it. It was like, if it's going to happen anyway and I don't know, me knowing allows me to put things right for other people. And I think they started to like see the wisdom in it a little bit. Spoils the surprise, X, says Fegley. So yeah, if it were on offer, if like, you know, you could just somehow they figured out a way, we're going to tell you when you're going to die, I would absolutely want to know immediately, right? If they go, you're going to die in 50 years, I'll go 80 plus years, that's pretty good. I'd probably continue living like I am currently. If it were like 20 years, I'd be like, oh, that's interesting, okay. Maybe I won't, maybe I'll start doing some other stuff. And then I think the further along to like, you know, 1 year, 1 month or whatever, I mean, I think even like 5 years. If it was like 5 years, I'd just be like, okay, I'm done with this. I'm going to do totally different stuff now. Right? Because there's all this stuff you want to do further down the line. You think you've got time for it. If you know you don't, you can crack on with it. But yeah, it's a superpower. Like, it's, you know, it immediately snaps you out of the inertia, because everyone kind of assumes they're living for a long time, and so you go through the motions as if, you know, there'll always be another day. But everyone knows that if they did know, if, you know, you go to the doctor and you get a diagnosis, you've got a year to live, you know that year of your life is different. You would try and live it the best way you can. And then equally, you would have wanted to have known. You wouldn't have wanted to not know, because that, you know, that would kind of end up being a waste of that time. Jersker says, always preaching, I swear. Sure, I mean, hey, give me a microphone, let me waffle about things that interest me while I'm, you know, doing this. I'm probably going to sound preachy, sure. I mean, in the case of this, what we're talking about right now, it's not really a thing, because we're pretty sure we won't have that knowledge or the ability to tell you. But the thought exercise, I think, is just good, because it, like, may be pertinent at some point in time when you're making like an important life decision or something. You know, don't go off putting to the doctor if you've got that nasty feeling in your belly or something, right? Like, go and find out what it is, because, you know, the knowledge will allow you to make the best decision, because you have that knowledge. Otherwise, the time might pass, you might miss out on the opportunity to treat something, and then you've got a very small amount of time left. I feel like I'm building this part over here a bit wrong. Like, isn't the idea to like not have these gaps go too deep? At least I think that was what the idea was supposed to be. They tend to get like really thick on these curves and then narrow in again. Exo Limono, thank you ever so much for gifting a sub to Do Dirt. Appreciate it. Thank you for 2 months of support. Well, what would you do if you knew when someone else would die but couldn't tell them? Says Donut Penguins. That's fascinating. Oh, that's a really interesting question. So you're not allowed to tell them, but you know when they're gonna die, right? So if it's like they're gonna die in 50 years, you're probably gonna be like things will just go on as normal. But if you knew someone was dying soon, I imagine your behavior around them would change a lot. Like, you would probably become rather encouraging. At least that's what I'd imagine. Like, oh, do this, do that, and you'd probably just naturally like look at them and treat them as if something terrible has already happened to them. You know, like, you'd sort of be like sympathetic, and they wouldn't know why. I don't know. That's an interesting one. It's an interesting one. Carl's the Doom saying it is foolish to not want to know when one would die because it is a superpower is a bit of an extreme statement. There are many people out there who fight and struggle every day to make their life worthwhile and to give it purpose and meaning and to live the best of their abilities and follow their passions even though they have daily responsibilities. That is the true superpower in my opinion. Yeah, saying it was foolish is probably not the best use of language. I mean, it's a thought experiment, right? But I haven't thought about it in a while, so maybe I can't like articulate myself very well. It's just like, I get that there's this gut reaction to go in the other direction, but when you really think it through, it's almost like why wouldn't you? And I think the going to the doctor analogy is probably the best one. I mean, maybe some people want to live in ignorance of this stuff. I wouldn't want to, because I feel like, you know, you got to make a living, and so you got to do your thing and get by, and you know, I'm not gonna act like this isn't an incredible opportunity and an amazing job, and it's satisfying and fulfilling, but it's not the only passion that I have, right? It's not the only thing. And just the knowledge of like when this will end as a mystery leaves me in that routine. I will continue doing this, right? And then having knowledge of when it stops gives you, you know, the ultimate ability to make the correct decision. You can't make that decision of like, should I quit YouTube? I'm not going to do YouTube forever. I'm not going to stream forever. But when should I quit? That's literally it. Like, when should I stop doing this that we're doing right here? Because if I found out, you know, let's say we take away the magic button hypothesis. Let's say I go to the doctor and find out you've got half a year to live. You won't see or hear from me again, right? Like, I will just probably pack my bags and just go travel or something, right? Now, like, I want to do those things, but I also have to do this. Pay the bills, pay the rent. You've got other commitments in life too, obviously, that you can't just drop everything. But it's the difference between, like, living that in that state of, like, thinking you've got time, or living in the state where you know you have how much time. And so, for me, it's like, I want that time. Everyone wants to spend their time the best they can, and I feel like I'm having a great time spending it this way. It's really good, but it also rests on the premise that I've got years and years ahead of me, and I might not, and I don't actually know. And if I did, it would change a lot. If it turned out I got 50 years, then it probably wouldn't change too much. But that's I guess the point. And so to me, it feels like I'd rather live with that knowledge, as you know, then you can make the most of whatever time you have. The only thing we got is time. When it comes to figuring out what you want and a purpose on the world, I prefer a different question. What would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? That's a beautiful question, Spider Hearts. Like, if you told me, like, because when I think about music, right, I do not think of my music in the terms of it being able to pay the bills and be in a job, right? But if you told me that I wouldn't fail, like certain knowledge of, like, this will work and you'll be a successful musician and it'll be your job and it'll be fine, I would just start doing it immediately, right? Like, I would go straight to that. But here's the thing, right, with that question is, I guess that's a great question for someone if you've got the guts to make a big change and maybe you don't have too much risk to take on with that. Then that's a great way of framing things as, like, don't give yourself excuses, right? But then some things will be like more fantasy than reality, right? So, like, I don't do any martial arts or anything like that, and this isn't like my primary thing, it's just something that pops into my head, but I've always thought martial arts are pretty incredible, and you know, like, maybe in another life, or if my life had played out differently, I think I'd be someone who would probably enjoy practicing martial arts a lot, right? Okay, I don't know what your impression of martial arts is, like, you know, beating people up or something, but, like, nothing like that. It's about body and mind and, you know, control and technique and being able to sort of fend for yourself if ever you're in harm. Like, I don't know, there's something very appealing about martial arts and that kind of discipline to me. Now, I don't think I'd have, like, a chance in heck of pursuing martial arts and somehow becoming my career, let's say, right? Like, that seems very unlikely to me. Whereas music may be more likely, because I know I've got a passion for it. I would know how to make music constantly and enjoy the process, and then if I'm doing that and the other thing clicks where, oh look, people are interested, then yeah, it's more possible, right? Whereas I don't even see a path for how me taking up martial arts would somehow become a job. Maybe there's some genius idea that I haven't thought of, but like, I guess what I'm saying is like, if you think of that example in a more fantasy-driven way, like, yeah, in another life, I'd love to be like a top-notch martial arts guy, like Bruce Lee, going in the movies, all that kind of stuff, right? That'd be amazing. But that's more of like a dream and a fantasy, right? So the question is really great, but I feel like you have to apply the question quite cleverly, because it's a really great way to think about like making choices and decisions. Is like, it's too easy to tell yourself you can't a lot of the time, or it won't. I feel like some of y'all probably have some wisdom here to share. Keitachi08, thank you for 24 months, 2 years, my dude. Appreciate it. Thank you for subscribing. Lucaro says, would you make music if there was unconditional basic income? UBI? Okay, let's strip out the whole like negative connotations something like that could have, and just say it works. If it would facilitate my current lifestyle, which is really not a lot. I don't spend my money on anything fancy or luxurious. We go on trips and a couple of holidays a year. You know, if it could kind of sustain what I'm doing at the moment and I'd just be doing music instead, then sure. Absolutely. It might never end until the day you retire a senior hermit. What does become of your passions? What will then be the knowledge you need to stop it not coming from yourself? Waiting for something external to give permission is rarely working out to make big life decisions. Yeah, well, that's a really difficult question to answer, I guess. Like, I know that this doesn't go on forever. Yeah, I don't know. Let me tell you this, actually, okay? I hate to do this, because I've done it already this stream, but I am working on something else. Okay? And you will see it later this year. And that is me also attempting to do something else that I am passionate about, and potentially forge a new career path for myself, right? So, in a ways, I have already taken some action in which to create, like, turn another passion of mine into something that could potentially be my air quotes job, right? So, my answer to your question is, like, maybe I've already started doing that. And I'm also trying to, like, maneuver other things around as, again, to pursue something else. But it's really just, like, it's one of those things where, like, when it's done and happening and things are different, I'll talk about it then, and then it will make sense to you or whatever. But I don't like really talking about it too much before it happens. Right? Oh, where am I going? Like, I'm trying to go to the nether portal. Jeez. These glasses and the headphones are going to stay here for a while. Bye-bye! Because, because I got other priorities now, right? I'm 19 and I don't know what I want to do as a job, and it's hard because the things I like a lot, namely art and writing, are hobbies, and I don't really want to turn my hobby into a job, but I don't know what else I want to do. See, you might have heard that saying of, like, do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life, right? Well, it's a great quote, but from one wisdom to another, like, you hear all these amazing quotes over time, and then you, like, it gets deeper. Like, you go, like, you keep going down a level. And I feel like that's one of those quotes that got thrown around a lot. But then being in the space around people that do things like I do, and me doing what I do, you realise that it's not that straightforward, and there's like more to be learnt about this, right? Why is I go through the dimension and the what's it called was on the screen. It's kind of confusing. Anyway, let's try and give you some solid things to think about here. So this idea that you'll never work a day in your life if you do something you love is not true, because you will. You will have to hustle at times. You will have to put in hard work. You will have to make sacrifices, difficult decisions, and sometimes do the thing you love when you don't really feel like it. That is something I have had to deal with as a creator, and I've, by knowing about it, been able to navigate to a place where I'm pretty much most of the time, you know, doing it right and having fun as I go. But, you know, sometimes you'll make commitments that perhaps put you in a little less unfavorable position from that time to time. The idea is, like, if you're passionate about something and you can turn it into a job, most of the time it will be better than working and doing something that you're not passionate about, right? And really, you just gotta kind of like manage your passion, because if you do it without thinking and you do it without mindfulness, it's like not too difficult to conceive that the job could then become a chore, and you know, you destroy your passion for that thing that you were doing. But if you manage it and you're aware of, you know, thinking about it, then you can, you know, you can get through it. It's not going to be that perfect fairy tale of like every day you doing whatever pops into your mind is somehow your job. Like, if you think playing Minecraft for a living is like that, then let me tell you, it's not. And I can't think of I don't know, like, whose life is like that, where, what job is that, where whatever pops into your head every day you're satisfied. I mean, there is some stuff out there that suggests that happiness is tied to unhappiness in a way in your brain chemically, where they have a sort of like equilibrium state. So if you imagine, oh, the world's most happiest person, they've got this, they've got that, they're doing this thing, their life's amazing and wonderful, they might feel similar levels of happiness and sadness as you do, because the brain tends to regulate these two things. The ups comes with the downs, and yeah, that's a bit of a tangent. So the point being that, like, you know, you wanna enjoy your time, and if you can make money out of one of your passions, then you should, I believe you should pursue it, because you need to just manage what comes with that. Because yes, it can put a burden on your passion, it can change the dynamic, and it did that for me. Like, playing Minecraft is not like when I first played it, right? It is not this awe and wonder of this really interesting new space. And you know, the first few years of my channel, every video was like, oh, some exciting thing that I want to put out there. And now it's, you know, it's just another video. And for me, it's about, this is my job, it's a routine experience, but I manage it. I focus on doing the things in the game that interest me. Even though I've played it for a long time, it's not as fascinating as maybe when I first got it started. And I manage my time so that I do other things alongside it that I enjoy. So it's about having that sort of attentive balance to your passion, so that you don't, you know, you don't have the wrong mindset and then sort of grind it out yourself. Because early on in the YouTube game, before there was a lot of discussion around creator mental health, before really people started to see YouTube as proper jobs, even though myself and a few other people were doing this, I went through some tough times where it was like, it was grinding, it was just trying to make my channel grow, and eventually I realized that that was unhealthy, and I had to change the way I thought about what I do. You know, if I had stuck in that place, right, my channel, for example, grows at an incredibly slow pace. It just kind of like hovers and gets these occasional little bumps, and sort of like grows at a trickle's pace with like occasional bumps coming through. And like, there would be, in the past, there would have been a time where that would have been really difficult and frustrating, and me thinking like I'm not doing it right. But what I learned to do was shift my attention to how am I spending my time, right? And that's when I realized that if I spend my time doing what I enjoy, then it doesn't really matter what those numbers are. Like, it's more about how I spend my time day to day. So anyway, right, you're young, you're 19, you're thinking about a career, passions and hobbies. It's a really good idea to not just pursue your passion, but have a plan B, or like have a regular sort of career path in mind too. And you know, maybe there are things that are a bit more regular type of work that you can be passionate about. I wouldn't have thought of this when I was younger, but as I've grown older, I've like become quite fond of things like architecture, for example, and engineering, and those now look to me like jobs that can perhaps provide more satisfaction than you might have thought. So, you know, don't rule out every type of job as if it's like meaningless or something. There might be some relatively traditional jobs that actually provide some fulfillment. Social care work is very fulfilling for some people. So, you know, keep that in mind too when you're thinking about the regular job side of things, right? Because you sort of don't want to throw all your eggs in one basket. But the trick is, like, you want to pursue your passion at the same time. So, like, have your hobbies, have your career that you're pursuing, but with those hobbies, do them in a way where you can perhaps put yourself out there a little bit and maybe something bites back. You know, I think you said it was art and writing, so maybe you're putting your writings online or your art out there and maybe share them with people, and you know, do make an effort to get it out there so that people can see it. But don't put all your emphasis on succeeding there. Like, the success should be in you enjoying your hobby and doing it on a regular basis. And then if what you put out there bites back and catches on, you might find yourself with an opportunity to then do that as a job. And so if you build the structure of doing it out of love and passion, and you know, the other thing comes along, then you've got a great opportunity to pursue it in the right way. If you take on that kind of hustle persona of like, I'm gonna make it, I'm definitely gonna become a this thing, a professional that thing, then you'll probably find, like, you know, you set yourself up for a very difficult challenge that might likely be disappointing. Okay, that was a ridiculously long waffle. I hope that was useful to you. Sunrise Eagerly says, a professional musician once told me that whenever you make mistakes... Let's read that again. A professional musician once told me that whether you make mistakes doesn't matter. What makes a professional is how well you recover. That's a nice quote right there. Aster Matto says, would you say the YouTube's way to force content creators to release videos almost daily contribute in making burnouts faster? YouTube doesn't force content creators to make videos daily. I think there's a sort of a negative narrative that creators get caught up in, that I myself were once caught up in at a point in time. Remember, I've been doing this for over 11 years. I have, you know, the first, I don't know, 7 years of that or something, I was in absolute like hustle mode, never took a holiday. I worked so hard I forgot how to vacation. I love that lyric. Like, I've been through a lot of this and I've seen it in that way. Like, sometimes I think creators need to take a little responsibility. And I say this not in a like, it's your fault kind of way, but like, this is good for you to take responsibility for how your content is performing, because YouTube wants to keep people on the platform. It is trying to keep people engaged and watching, and it wants, you know, it doesn't want to suppress videos. It's not trying to punish you for creating. And I think this whole blame the algorithm attitude is not very productive and doesn't really like help anyone. I think you need to, if you're a creator, you need to look at it more like, if your videos aren't working, your channel like isn't growing, etc., it might just be your content. Like, you might just need to turn it on yourself and be like, maybe what I'm doing here isn't appealing to people, it isn't connecting with them in some way, right? There's that. And then in terms of like frequency of upload, it's been proven you don't need to do things daily by now. You know, there are channels that upload a video once a month and others that do the daily grind or 2 videos a day. There's a whole variety of channel types and frequency of upload and whatnot, and you know, it's about like finding what works for you and what works with your audience. Some content creators might be able to pump out videos based on what type they are really frequently, and their audience may want to consume it that way. So if like you're a creator pumping out daily videos and it's not hitting, you know, don't be afraid to try and change tact. I was once a daily uploader, and I'm quite glad that I am no longer a daily uploader as it goes, because I don't think I could keep up with that anymore. Right, Spooky Dokie, thank you so much for 51 months of support. That is greatly appreciated. We also had KLLarea99 with the Amazon Prime for 16 months. Thank you for using the Prime subscription on me, my dude. Hope you're entertained. Enjoying it. One of my favourite YouTubers only posts a video once every 6 weeks at best. He spends 6 full weeks full-time making it, and they're awesome, says Mr. Cupholder. Yeah. And that level of content like didn't really exist for a long time in the beginning. It's like slowly evolved. There's quite a few content creators that do that, you know, once a month or less approach now. But yeah, like a lot of people were under the illusion that you needed this like frequent upload to be relevant, and YouTube kept saying no you don't, and eventually like the community started to listen. You get more and more of these channels giving it a go, and then now you just see new channels like appearing, going straight into that format. There's a channel that I'm subscribed to that I'm not massively impressed by their content, but they do something kind of niche that I thought was like worth keeping an eye on. And you can see that they're young, like they put themselves on camera, they're like, I don't know, very young 20s I think, and you can see that they've like grown up with YouTube, and they just know that they can do this format of like, I'll spend ages working on this video and then like show you the results, and it works for them, which is good for them. It's nice to see. But like, that's someone coming into the game, like a fresh content creator, just immediately knowing that they can do like deep research and sort of do something niche that takes a lot of time, and they've had success, which is cool to see. Yeah, fascinating. Mark Rober is a perfect example of quality over quantity with huge success, says Dandy McGee. He is, and his channel did come to mind, what with that recent video, but the reason I didn't mention someone like Mark Rober, and I probably wouldn't mention Mr. Beast either, is because they've sort of come out of the individual creator. They're like, you know, production channels now, right? Like, those Mark Rober videos are made with a team, and I think it's probably not good to cite them as an example, because it's hard to just hit the ground running on YouTube with like that level of production. And obviously the higher level of production, the more chance you got of succeeding with that kind of once in a blue moon sort of content, right? X, it's Jeeves' birthday and he's doing a 12-hour marathon stream today. Just wondering if you consider raiding him at the end of the stream, says Becca. Let's have a look here. Is there anyone else streaming? I mean, I'm not committed to stream for anyone else. Go on then. Go on then. We'll do that, shall we? Ah, wrong button. Wait, still the wrong button. There. Oh, there we go. Shall we do that then? Okay. Let me set this one up. Peeps, hit the follow button if you've enjoyed today's stream. And here we go. Right, that is the end of the stream. Thank you to everyone for tuning in, subscribing, following, resubscribing, gifting subs. Thanks to my mods, thanks to my patrons. If I missed anyone, thank you. And yeah, we're doing a raid now. So I'm setting it up, and you'll be able to join the raid in just a moment. That is it from me. Take care, everyone. Enjoy the raid, and I'll see you all on Sunday morning, I believe.